Welcome back to another episode of the Charger Hellcat Magnum build. In this episode, I'm going to be working on some sheet metal stuff. So I'm going to be blending the rear Magnum inner structure to the Charger inner structure. So what I did this morning was I went by the metal store, grabbed a piece of sheet metal. This is 4 foot by 8 foot. It's more than I need, but it's going to be perfect because now I can get everything blended together. I decided to remove the seats and the carpet out of the Charger. The reason being is I started to tack some stuff together inside the car. I started doing that inner rail and the sparks were just kind of unmanageable to keep track of, and I didn't want them getting on the carpet and burning it. But after I took the carpet out, I didn't notice that it looks like it's kind of moldy. So it was in Florida. There wasn't any doors on it, and I'm guessing just water got down there. There's also a rodent or something in there. You can see a little bit of stuff down there. But also, when I pulled the carpet out, I found some drugs. So I found a couple lighters, a little packet of some white powder stuff, and it got wet. But yeah, we got some drugs in this car. So yeah, I need to definitely vacuum it out. And I'm going to pull the front carpets out as well, but it just makes it a little bit more manageable. So all I have to do is protect the dash and the steering wheel and all that stuff, instead of just trying to protect everything with these little rugs and everything. But it also gives me a little bit more room so I can move around inside the car while I'm welding it, instead of kind of being cooped up just in the passenger seat area. Started the passenger side. I need to cut out this little spot like I did on the other side, so the original piece of sheet metal fits in there. And what this is and why I have to have that cut out like that is because this is the piece on the inside that has the little clips right here. This is where the little handles mount for inside the car. The Magnum ones are actually quite a bit different. One thing I did find out was on the center console, where it bolts, it's exactly the same as a Dodge Magnum. So as you guys saw when I put the Challenger one in, if you haven't seen the video, I pretty much took the center sheet metal out of the Challenger and welded it into the Magnum. If I would have used a Dodge Charger center console and dash and everything, it would have just bolted in. So that's one less step, even though I'm going to end up putting the same center console in this because I want the Challenger center console and dash in this car. I just like them a lot better. I really do not like how the Dodge dash is on the Charger. I don't like how they're shaped. So they're just kind of boxy, and the Challenger ones are just so much nicer. So we have the one in the Magnum over here, which it just looks so much better. It's not as boxy, it's more rounded. It just kind of surrounds the gauges. To me, it looks a lot better, and so does the center console. most of the upper rails welded, but when you weld these, you actually have to go very slow. I do inch welds. So I do an inch weld on this side, an inch weld on the other side, let it cool, and then continue. Actually, I do an inch weld on this joint, an inch weld on that joint, and then you just have to be careful about shrinkage. I don't want anything to, if you weld the whole thing, it'll get really hot and then cool down, it expands and contracts, and then stuff can move. So I don't want any of these body lines that I've already lined up to be off, the hatch especially with the trunk. That would be not very good. But that being said, this is coming out really nice. It almost looks, once it has etching primer on it, it will look like a factory piece of metal. And you probably won't even be able to tell it's welded in there. I can now say without a doubt the Charger can be considered a station wagon. So I have the Magnum interstructure 100% connected to the Charger interstructure with that piece of metal that I made. I also came back here and welded all of this sheet metal together. So I welded it, grinded it down, and then I welded on both sides, grinded it down on both sides. Then I added panel bond to give it a little bit more structure. I also added the panel bond to prevent from water getting behind there or moisture, and in the future rusting it, because I won't be able to get to that panel on the inside or on one of the sides. I won't be able to get to it. And I just don't want to spray it with acid etching primer and then later on down the road, it gets some water on it or something and it starts to rust or does something, and then, you know, it has rust on it. So I just thought that the panel bond would give it a little bit more structure, as well it's a lot thicker, and it just gives it that extra barrier between moisture and water and all that stuff getting to it. So that is really nice that that's finished, because I was really just procrastinating all this stuff because I didn't want to make these pieces up here on the inside and the outside. And now that they're done, I'm just really glad that I did it. I still haven't finally welded them together because I just didn't want them to be welded if I needed to change anything. Now that that's welded down there and everything measures out correctly, I really just need to weld that, which it did take a long time to make those. The first one took quite a while. The second one was a lot easier. But the reason why it took so long was because I'm going from a square right here, and then I'm making it round. So really what I had to do was I made the bends kind of triangle up, and then what I did was I beat it around a bar to get that round shape, and then it just kind of has that nice transition, and then all the Magnum stuff still fits over it. So I also need to use this channel on the inside combined with the Magnum channel on the outside. And this is the outer sheet metal. This is from the 300C, but you can see that different lip from that one to the Magnum over there. So that'll be in later episodes, most likely once I get all this stuff, all the body panels from New York. But as you guys know, that Dodge is just really procrastinating that last interstructure piece, so I haven't gone to pick it up. What I did end up doing was telling the guy to ship me all this. I got a bunch of parts for the Trackhawk suspension. I got knuckles, front knuckles, lower control arms, you know, a bunch of stuff so I can get the transmission from the Trackhawk with the transfer case mounted in here, modify the floor, whatever I need to do. Then I also need to modify the front subframe. I probably will need a Trackhawk power steering rack, because this module back here, this module right there, actually angles up on the Trackhawk. I think it's up or down. It angles one way because the transfer case pretty much just fits right up against it. And I also need to move the sway bar to the front, and then I need to probably cut out that center beam. So I'll have to figure out exactly how I'm going to modify it. And I need to get the front diff in. The Trackhawk front drive shaft I should be able to use, because the distance from the tranny to the engine should be exactly the same, which it's just going to be subduing. I just need to get all this stuff, get the engine or that block, the tranny, bolted in the car, and just start fabricating stuff and cutting stuff, putting stuff up in the car, and just kind of figuring out if it's going to work, if I need to change something, if I need to do this or that, and just kind of go from there. But I'm really happy that we now have, I could say this is a Magnum or a station wagon, because it's 100% connected. So once we get all those panels, I will finalize all of that, get it in primer, but I'm really just being held up by Dodge. It's one of those things. The Challenger project was held up by Dodge about 8 months, and this seems like it's going to be held up by Dodge 8 months because I've already had this stuff on order since the beginning of the year, and now they said another 3 months for that last piece of infrastructure. So it's just one of those things. I'm going to have to wait another 3 months, and we'll just kind of go from there. But I'm really glad that the car is where it is. In the meantime, I will be able to get the all-wheel drive stuff bolted into it, get it all ready, and hopefully we can get the power plant all buttoned up. I want to bore out that 6.2 that I got out of the Trackhawk that was burnt to 426. So in the meantime, I may end up doing that. But that being said, I'm going to end the video here. If you do like these videos and the project, make sure to share it with your friends. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Throw a comment below what you think of the project. Give it a thumbs up. As always, see you guys next time.